Hello, I'm the Knife Coach. Welcome to this session on solo training. Many of you, like myself, find yourself in a situation where you don't always have a partner to train with. So you must contrive things using your imagination, your creativity, that will allow you to advance and develop those traits that you will still use or value as a knife fighter, as a knife person. One of these things is this simple thing here called like a cup and ball effect, or where you got a hole in the bottom. These are usually sold in Mexico and somewhere near the border. Can't find them in other places, but they're fairly easy toy to play with. You can either get them going with a flip, to where you flip. Now, you're trying to get a sense of point here, the idea of point. You can do your hops here and like this. And I'll say this, it's something that it doesn't matter whether you whether you do it or not. The misses and the catches don't really matter that much. What matters is the mechanics that you're training. So when I'm moving out here, if you just stand here like a robot and all tense, this isn't a good knife fighter, is it? This guy's tense and he's never going to move. He's afraid. So you have to relax the same way here and just get used to doing these things. Get this sense of lightness. Probably the harder version is the flip. You'll actually see the ball. Now, look at how I'm moving in the relativity of, see? Later, as you get better, you can bring this up and try your thrusts. Okay? Different lines. You'll want a good piece of string so it doesn't snap on you, nylon string or something, because you'll be putting it under a fair degree of force. But using a simple child's toy like this, I would just have you get out and move around. Practice bringing this up. And the other thing is, it'll hit you in the groin or the kneecaps. If you miss, it'll clobber you in the wrist. This is a fairly heavy one. I've even seen some goons flip it up and crack themselves in the head, go figure. But it can happen. So you have a little bit of evasion here as you're playing. So when you're playing with these simple toys, see the connection. Don't just go out and be stiff. Catching, not catching, doesn't matter. Using the weight. These are the same actions that you would use as a knife fighter would. Now do the simple catch. I missed, but that's okay. It's close, and that's what counts. You learn a sense of timing. And remember, I'm always talking about yielding. You can't simply go, roar. You'll break the string and miss. How you catch it is to yield. Notice I'm always sinking my weight, faking with the body fake. So each of these postures that you assume are part of your overall game. These type of silly little things in Street Knife DVD, Knife Coach and Pete Counts also, when we were together, taught you how to use the paddle ball for training. Same thing. This is just another version. If you have your ring here, we'll say you go back and forth, or you can shoot the hand through and come in. That was a snake. That was a disarm. So I was holding it. What I did was shoot the hand through, hook, and come up. Simple. You can do your disarms. The trick of the disarms is not so much that you can't do the action. It's that this will fly off your hand if you're crude about it. You need sensitivity to play the ring a little bit in order to do those, here, those elements that you've been shown. Some of you talked about Knife Coach 3. Andy, could I have you come on in for just a minute? In Knife Coach 3, we taught how when he strikes here, I cut his hand, Off the thrusting triangle here, come through, I hit him, I disarm, and stab him. Or he comes in here, I come under like this, I catch, I pop this free, and hit from here. If he comes in and strikes here, and I pass him, see here, notice, look at my hand, I pass him, this comes through, or I could have passed him and it goes forward, see? It takes things right out of their hands. This is the same thing that I'm doing here, is that when I go here, see, this is the takeaway, or that's the takeaway, this is the takeaway, okay? The trap, the release, the counter release. This has all the same things. This feels just like Andy's strong, feels like arms. So if you're practicing the material that I taught you in the Knife Coach number 3, I believe, then you can do that same material solo here. Now, let's say I was doing example here. I'm going to come under, make the hit. This is one that I know you all can do, and I pull free like that. How would I counter? Would I come back in and thrust? Would I cut? All that's fine. So if I do that same action here and come back, I'm now going to roll and tighten that down. Look at the position of my hand. That's the other thing, is when you're taking someone to position of bargain, you can't go here. He's free. So if I take him to bargain, it's here. This is still at his throat, but I've completely suffocated or collapsed his guard and arms using my forearm. Now I have the control. Now this would kill me, get me hurt, see? So there's a difference. When you're training with your ring, if you do this, there's nothing. When you do this, it's locked onto the forearm. It's a, ouch, it's a trap. And that's what you want. This is the trap that you're putting on him. That's what these type of devices give you. When I'm coming in, he's making his action, I'm just going to use my forearm and smash his forearm as I come in. I can smash down and trap here just as easily as I invert it and do it from here. So I'm always using my forearms in conjunction with the blade. That's an important part. We'll talk more about this in the next session, but I want you now to see why we have, instead of like that, hold on you, why we're here with our hands in this configuration, and why the ring puts you in the same configuration. From there, however you wish to use. See? And all this is part of that greater picture that you do as the knife man does. That's even simple things like hand exchange. See, that's the idea, is to say hand exchange, whip that thing through. That would be him. That's the disarm. You say, what do you mean whip it through? Right there. This is the disarm. That's the disarm when shit flies. See? So it's not a wee delicate motion like this. Let go of it. It's a big expansive motion that says, bam, that's fine. So when you're doing this, and you do that, it has to be that kind of whoa. And that's what I was telling you about the sensitivity of this ring. It's hard to follow when you're whipping that thing around, making these actions. You play with it. These are your solo training. If you know Sombrada, Gentlemen, could I get you to come in? They're going to do the backdrop. My left hand will be James. My right hand will be Andy. You watch them, you watch me. I'm going to do Sombrada. Gentlemen, would you do Sombrada, just a quick run through? Yeah, all right. That's what we're talking about, the 5-count exercise that most of you know, known as the box pattern. All right, so when James strikes towards Andy, that's my left hand, that's the strike. I'm blocking with the roof, just like my right hand is Andy, my left hand is James. Now, as Andy strikes James, James parries. Then James strikes Andy in the ribs, he covers. He thrusts, he then flips, strikes. Come up with your shield. Now, hit back. Now, James has to do roof, strike, drop stick and 4. Thrust, parry. Now, redondo. Roof, sweep, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, thanks. I think you guys can get that at home. So, we all talk about doing Sombrada, we all know it. But to really know it, you should be able to do it and be able to go through this by yourself for solo training. That way you have the same contact points, rather than just vague, like, I'm doing Sombrada, I think. Now, was I supposed to do the 4 or the 3 there? Damn it, you know, that's how you get confused. If something's hitting you, cover it. Learn how to train alone. It's like some children. Some children, unless they have some kind of game or toy, they're unhappy. They always have to be entertained with some bullshit. Other children, better children, they're entertained with whatever. They're always happy. They can sit there and play with a bug or a rock on the ground, and they're happy. They don't need constant entertainment because they're happy within their own world, as most people used to be before this unrestful restlessness took over our society. So training alone isn't weird, it's just difficult because you need a partner. Figure out how to be your own partner. It's a real blessing. Gentlemen, thanks for that insight on Sombrada. And as far as our knife coach here solo training, I hope this has just inspired you. Remember, in these brief sessions, all I can do is inspire you, motivate you, to give you some momentum towards that zone that you wish to go. Then you have to take off from there and say, okay, Keating did it this way and he did that. Yes, I did, but you need to take it further and elaborate on it and figure out even more things. Work in more footwork as a solo training device. That all these things are part of what you have to do. Otherwise, you need a human being to help you. You need a combination of the two. So I thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm your knife coach.